You. I know you. You're the one who came to my house.
Never.
17 years those two men worked together. Bonanza, then Little House, then this. Landon put Victor French on American television across 3 decades. He fought a network to do it the first time. 2 men made this show. Both of them died at 54. And one of them was buried 50 days before the final episode ever reached the air. Highway to Heaven was about an angel. A man sent back to help people face the worst thing that ever happened to them. And almost nobody watching knew why it existed. It existed because of a car crash.
All right, give it a try. You have a nice day.
4 young people died in that crash. One survived. She was the creator's daughter. He sat beside her while she was unconscious. And he made a promise. The gruff ex-cop beside the angel spent 20 years before this playing killers and rapists on television. One man pulled him out of that. In print, he called that man his angel. Then he left instructions that nobody was allowed to cry at his funeral. Michael Landon stood in that room and tried to obey. A colleague beside him watched him fail. 2 years later, he was gone too. Same age, same number. And there's a third man from this show who died at 54 as well. One angel show. 111 episodes across 5 seasons. 3 men, all gone at the same number. Let's see what really happened.
What happened this time?
Cares.
I care.
Well, I don't. I don't care. I mean, I was not head of General Motors or something.
Before we start, tell me something in the comments. Which episode of this show made you cry? Because it will have been at least one. That was the entire design. I'll explain why in a minute. Drop it below. I read them all. There's no wrong answer. That show had 5 years of them. And stay to the end. There's a woman who was in the room when Michael Landon died. She's about to bring this whole show back. The promise that built the show start here, because everything else grows out of it. Michael Landon had a daughter named Cheryl. She was driving home one night from a fraternity and sorority gathering. 5 young people in a small Volkswagen. They were hit by a car doing more than 80 miles an hour. Landon described it himself to People magazine in 1985. He said it killed everyone but her. He said it broke everything in her. Cheryl survived. Reportedly, she was in a coma for 3 days. According to the biography of Landon written by Marcia Daly, he made a pact during those 3 days. If his daughter came back to him, he'd try to make something that helped people. She came back. We don't know exactly what words he used. Nobody was recording a man at his daughter's bedside. What we do know is what he said afterward, in public, on the record. He wanted to make something that helped people. And we know what he built next. And a few years later, something strange happened. A man who'd spent his whole career playing cowboys and pioneer fathers walked into NBC. He said he wanted to play an angel. Think about that the next time you watch the opening credits. That show isn't sentimental. It's a debt being paid. And it explains something people always get wrong about him. Critics mocked Landon for being soft. They had no idea what he was working through in front of them, every Wednesday, for 5 years.
Come on, there's no use worrying about something that's going to happen.
I give up. The man is a philosopher.
The show itself, the idea arrived while he was driving. He told the Los Angeles Times about it in 1988. He was driving through Beverly Hills on a Friday night to pick up his kids. Everyone around him was leaning on the horn. He said he wondered why everybody was so angry. He thought about what would happen if people spent that same energy being kind. NBC was not enthusiastic. Brandon Tartikoff ran entertainment at the network. He told the Los Angeles Times he warned Landon that critics would have a field day with an angel show. Landon's answer is the key to everything he ever made. He said plenty of people were trying to make audiences laugh. He said almost nobody could reliably give an audience a good cry. And he said he knew he could. So when I asked which episode made you cry, that wasn't a nice question. That was the product working exactly as designed. The show premiered on September 19, 1984. Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock, NBC. And here's what happened to Tartikoff's prediction. It went straight into the Nielsen Top 20 in its first season. It stayed inside the Top 40 for 4 years. The critics did have their field day. The audience didn't care. They showed up anyway, week after week, for half a decade. And then the network turned on it. In May of 1988, NBC announced its autumn schedule. Highway to Heaven wasn't on it. The ratings had slipped out of the top 30. The show was demoted to a mid-season replacement. Season 5 was cut to 13 episodes. Reportedly, they aired scattered across the calendar and out of order. A couple in December, one in March. The rest dumped into summer, when nobody's watching. Remember that date. May 1988, because you've probably heard that the show was cancelled because Victor French got sick. It's a good story. It isn't true. The network gave up roughly a year before French was diagnosed. The illness came after 111 episodes, 5 seasons, and 2 men who never missed a single one. If you were there, you already know the shape of that hour. No car chases. No shootouts. Landon said it out loud. You were going to laugh or you were going to cry. One or the other. He also said he made the kind of show he liked to sit down and watch with his own family. That's why it ran at 8 o'clock. Early enough for the kids. The pilot pulled a 20.6 rating and a 35 share. More than a third of every television switched on in America that night was watching it. Then it just kept going. 25 episodes in Season 1. 24 in Season 2. 25 again. 24 again. The guest list was enormous. Bob Hope turned up. So did Ernest Borgnine, Shannon Doherty, and Barry Williams from the Brady Bunch. And Landon's face was everywhere. 22 TV Guide covers. If your house took TV Guide in the 80s, he was on your coffee table. So here's the honest truth about this show. It was engineered to get you, every Wednesday, right on schedule. And it worked.
Oh, I closed the book for good.
Oh, where's Nick?
Oh, I gave him a job behind the bar.
Victor French as Mark Gordon. Here's the man most people can picture and can't name. Victor Edwin French was born on December 4, 1934, in Santa Barbara, California. His father, Ted French, was a Hollywood actor and stuntman in 1940s westerns. So Victor started the same way. As a stuntman, he did most of his own stunt work for years. And then his face got him typecast. Hard. He was big. He looked rough. So for about 2 decades, television used him as the man you were supposed to be afraid of. He told TV Guide in 1985 what those years were like. He said he'd spent 20 years playing killers, rapists, and every kind of villain and pervert known to man. Then he joked that crowds parted when they saw him coming. If you're a fan of classic westerns, you already know his work without knowing it. Victor French appeared in more than 20 episodes of Gunsmoke. He directed 5 of them. He was also Agent 44 on Get Smart. There's a lovely detail buried in his early work. Victor and his father Ted appeared on screen together. A stuntman's son, playing opposite the stuntman. Now here's where his life changes. And it changes because of one person. Landon met French on Bonanza. French played several different supporting parts on that show through the 1960s and into the 70s. Then in 1974, Landon built Little House on the Prairie. He wanted French for the role of Isaiah Edwards. NBC said no. The network wanted a name actor. Landon refused to move. French described it himself in 1989. He said the network wanted a name, and Michael stood by his guns. He said the role changed his career. Then he said the thing that gives this whole video its shape. He said Michael was really his angel. Sit with that for a second. He used that exact word. And he used it years before either of them knew how any of this would end. French left Little House in 1977 to headline his own sitcom. It was called Carter Country, on ABC. He played a police chief in a small Georgia town, not far from Jimmy Carter's hometown. That was the joke in the title. It ran 2 seasons and ABC canceled it in 1979. So the man who'd finally escaped the villain roles was suddenly out of work again, and Landon took him back. French reportedly said he was surprised Landon was so willing to have him return. When Little House ended, Landon called him again. That call became Highway to Heaven, and this time French wasn't a supporting player. He was half the show. He also directed. On Highway to Heaven, Victor French directed roughly every 3rd episode. Landon directed most of the rest. That's not a small thing. Directing on your own series means the star trusts you completely. And French had earned it the long way round. He directed on Gunsmoke back in the 60s. He directed on Little House as well. If you want to see his work behind the camera, start early. Season 1, Episode 5. It's called Song of the Wild West, and it aired in October of 1984. It's about a young singer trying to follow her late mother's career. Victor French directed that one. The villain nobody wanted to cast had quietly become one of the most reliable hands in television. So when you watch this series, watch what's really happening. 2 men took turns behind the camera, pointing it at each other. Cindy Landon and the show's producers, Kent and Susan McCrae, talked about the pair in interviews for a DVD release. They said the 2 men were crazy about each other. They said they never stopped making each other laugh. Cindy Landon also said something that surprises people. She described French as quiet and reclusive, the opposite of Landon. The loud one played the angel. The quiet one played the man who didn't believe in him.
I can't stop it. They're at the church. They'll be married in half an hour.
You can stop it. Use the stuff.
What, in a church?
Victor French's last year season 5 wrapped in early 1989. Then French flew to Dublin. He was shooting the live-action scenes for an animated film called Rock-a-Doodle. It's a Don Bluth cartoon musical about a singing rooster, a children's film. That's where the news came. In March of 1989, in Ireland, on a children's movie, Victor French was diagnosed with lung cancer. He'd been a chain smoker his whole life. He never finished the film. Don Bluth directed the rest of that live-action material. He was reportedly hospitalized on the 7th of June. He died 8 days later, on June 15, 1989. He was 54 years old, 3 months. That's all he got from diagnosis to death. Highway to Heaven was the last thing Victor French ever filmed. He was married twice. He left 3 children behind, 2 daughters and a son. In 1998, he was inducted into the Western Performers Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City. 9 years after his death, he never got to see that either. And now, the part that most people get wrong. You'll read that he died 6 months before the last episode. That's not right. The final episode of Highway to Heaven aired on August 4, 1989, and 7 weeks and 1 day after he was buried. He never saw his own show end. There's something almost unbearable about the timeline. He finished a series about a man helping strangers face death. Then he flew to Ireland to make a cartoon for children, and that's where they told him. Then there's the funeral, and this is the part I can't stop thinking about. According to Charlotte Stewart, who played Miss Beadle on Little House, French left instructions through his lawyer. Nobody was to cry at his service. Anyone who did would be thrown out. His manager told the press the same thing in different words. No maudlin funeral. He wanted his friends to throw a party instead. Now picture the room. Stewart wrote that Michael Landon was standing right beside her. She said he grabbed her hand and held on for dear life. She said she'd never seen a man fight tears so hard in her life. The man French had publicly called his angel was standing at his funeral. Forbidden to grieve, hanging onto a colleague's hand. 2 years and 16 days later, Landon was gone too.
Jonathan!
What?
Dr. Bonner. He's a heart surgeon, right?
Wrong. He's a dentist.
Michael Landon. As Jonathan Smith, he wasn't born Michael Landon. Almost nothing about him started where you'd assume. He was born Eugene Maurice Orowitz on October 31, 1936, in Forest Hills, Queens, New York. His father was a Jewish-American actor and movie theater manager. His mother was an Irish Catholic dancer and comedienne. The family moved to New Jersey when he was small. His childhood was hard. We know that because he told us. Landon wrote and directed an autobiographical television film in 1976 called The Loneliest Runner. It's about a boy who wets the bed and runs to escape the shame. That was him. He put his own worst memory on national television and directed it himself. Remember that when we get to how he handled his diagnosis. He was a serious athlete. He threw the javelin, and he threw it well enough to win a track scholarship to USC. Then an arm injury ended it. The scholarship went. The university went, he worked odd jobs. And he decided to act. The name is the part people love. Reportedly, he found Michael Landon by opening a phone book. There's something else in that story worth sitting with. He didn't hide the bedwetting, he dramatized it, cast a boy to play himself, and put it on NBC. A man who turns his own humiliation into an hour of prime time is not a shy man. Then came the run that almost nobody in television history matches. Little Joe Cartwright on Bonanza, from 1959 to 1973. 14 years. 14 years is a career. He was 22 when it started and 36 when it ended. Charles Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, from 1974 to 1983. He wrote it, he directed it, he produced it. And that's where he first pulled Victor French out of the villain business. 9 more years, side by side. Then Highway to Heaven. Creator, executive producer, lead writer, lead director, and The Angel. 3 decades on one network. Bonanza, Little House, Highway to Heaven. Almost no one has done that. And notice the pattern in those 3 shows. A father and his sons. A father and his daughters. Then a man with no family at all, helping other people's. He appeared on the cover of TV Guide 22 times. Only Lucille Ball beat that. Here's a detail that still bothers people who love him. Michael Landon never won an Emmy. His daughter Jennifer has won 3. He was married 3 times. He had 9 children. His third wife, Cindy, was with him from 1983 onward. One more thing about the end of his career, because it explains the timing. After roughly 35 years, Landon left NBC. He said it came down to a fallout with the business side of the network. He'd made them a fortune across 3 hit series. He wasn't going to accept second-best treatment on the way out. So he went to CBS and started building again. He shot a 2-hour pilot called Us in early 1991. He played a man named Jeff Hayes. 18 years in prison for something he didn't do, walking out after new evidence clears him. A story about a man given his life back. It aired once. It never became a series. He was starting over at 54. A new network, a new show, a new decade. Then February came, and the stomach pain started. Hold on to her name. She comes back at the end of this.
Everyone involved, the NRC, the entire nuclear industry, spent a fortune convincing us that what happened to 3 Mile Island wouldn't harm anybody. Yet when they went to court, they said that the people who were dying of cancer were...
Michael Landon's last 12 weeks, February 1991. Landon was on a skiing holiday in Utah when the stomach pain started. On April 5, 1991, he got the answer. Pancreatic cancer. It had already spread to his liver and his lymph nodes. Inoperable. Terminal. He was 54 years old, the same age his best friend had been, 2 years earlier, almost to the fortnight. There's no explanation for it. It's just the arithmetic of 2 lives. And then he did something almost nobody does. He didn't hide. He reportedly called the press in and told them himself. First, he wasn't going to let a tabloid break the news about his own body. Then he did something bigger. On May 9, 1991, he walked out onto The Tonight Show and sat down with Johnny Carson. It was his last appearance on that show. He'd been sitting on that sofa since the 60s. He was visibly gaunt. Everyone watching could see it. So he made jokes. He joked about his hair. He joked about the coffee enemas and the carrot juice.
I kind of turned the color of a carrot from the juice, and I'm doing all kinds of things. There were some that I didn't try.
He attacked the tabloids for printing lies about him. Then he told America he was going to fight, and he asked people to pray for him. Understand what you're actually watching in that clip. It's still online. Go find it tonight. That's a man who spent 35 years engineering how a television audience felt.
I believe you will find documents in front of you that will show that I'm quite capable of appearing in behalf of my employer.
Cancer did not make him stop. He got the diagnosis, and he immediately started directing it. He reportedly had surgery later that month for a blood clot in his leg. In June, he appeared on the cover of Life magazine after giving them an exclusive interview about his family. He wasn't hiding from anyone. He was still producing. Then he stopped working and went home. Reports from the Times say all 9 of his children came to the house that final weekend. They kept vigil with Cindy. Michael Landon died on July 1, 1991, at home in Malibu. Cindy was at his bedside. 12 weeks from diagnosis to death. He was 54. Look at what he did with those 12 weeks. He didn't disappear. He didn't issue a statement through a publicist. He sat on a sofa next to Johnny Carson and made America laugh while he was dying. That's not denial. That's the last piece of work by a man who understood exactly what an audience needs. He'd spent his whole life deciding when you cried. He wasn't handing that job to anybody else at the end. Victor French had been 54. And here's the number that stops people cold. Victor French died at 54 years and 193 days old. Michael Landon died at 54 years and 243 days old. Their ages at death were separated by 50 days. That's it. 2 men, 1 show, 1 number. The third man, now the one nobody talks about. After Landon and French, one performer appeared in more episodes of Highway to Heaven than anybody else. His name was James Troish. He played a lawyer called Scotty Wilson, and he was quadriplegic.
Take your time, man. I'm not going anywhere.
Mark, could you get my book for me? I blew it.
This was the 1980s. Disabled actors were almost never on network television, and when they were almost never played by disabled people. Highway to Heaven cast him, brought him back season after season, and then let him write. So he wasn't a guest star with a wheelchair. He was a writer who acted on one of the biggest dramas in the country. He's reportedly the first quadriplegic actor to join the Screen Actors Guild. And here's the detail that makes this remarkable. Scotty first turns up in Season 1, Episodes 6 and 7.
What crutch?
Being handicapped. That's the best crutch in the world. Don't expect anything from me. I'm just a poor cripple.
He comes back in Episode 19, called A Match Made in Heaven.
Diane?
Yeah?
I really love you. I'm just so scared.
That makes 2 of us. But it's a good scared, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then Season 2, Episodes 10 and 11. Then Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2, 7 appearances. Nobody outside the two leads got close to that. Now look at who wrote A Match Made in Heaven. The story credit goes to James Troche and Teresa Troche. Michael Landon wrote the teleplay from their idea. So the quadriplegic actor didn't just play the storyline, he and his wife came up with it. It's a story about Scotty wondering whether a relationship can survive his disability. Mark's against it, because the woman involved is his own cousin. Watch that one first, and watch how the show treats him, not as a lesson, not as a tragedy, as a man with a complicated love life, like anybody else. That was rare then, it's still rare now. Troche kept working long after the show ended. He turned up on Boston Legal. He wrote screenplays. He sat on the Writers Guild of America West Committee for writers with disabilities. He spent years pushing the industry to hire people like him properly. He later wrote a feature called Color of the Cross. He also wrote a project called The Hollywood Quad, drawn from his own life. Think about what that meant in 1985. A quadriplegic man was not just visible on a hit network drama. He was shaping the stories. French was reportedly especially fond of the character. Of all the faces that passed through that show, Scotty kept coming back. He outlived both of his co-stars by 20 years. James Troche died in 2011 of respiratory failure. He was 54 years old. 3 men from one show, all 54, and they're strung out across 22 years. 1989, 1991, 2011. The show kept running in syndication the entire time. It was on somebody's television, somewhere, on all 3 of those days. I'm not going to tell you that means something. It doesn't. It's coincidence. And coincidence is just arithmetic. But it's a strange thing to sit with. And once you know it, you can't unknow it.
You drop Diane off at her place, then pick me up over at Scotty's.
You got it. Good seeing you, Scotty.
Same here. Pleasure to meet you, Diane.
I had fun.
What the show looks like now. Here's what nobody realized while it was happening. Every week, this show put 2 men on screen with a stranger. And it asked them to help that stranger face death, or loss, or something unfinished. Jonathan was the one who understood it. Mark was the one who resisted it. And behind the camera, one of them had built the whole show as thanks for a daughter who nearly died. The other had 3 years left. Watch the pilot again. September 19th, 1984. Then remember the promise made beside a hospital bed. Watch any episode Victor French directed, and notice how gentle those ones are. That's a man who played rapists for 20 years, choosing softness the moment somebody handed him control. Then watch the last one. It's called Merry Christmas from Grandpa. It's a Christmas episode. NBC aired it on the 4th of August. That tells you exactly how much the network cared by the end. Here's one more correction while we're here, because it gets repeated constantly. People say the show outlived both its stars. It didn't. Highway to Heaven ended in August of 1989. Michael Landon was alive for almost 2 more years. The show died first. Then he did.
Do I know you?
Well, not really. I know about your 3-year son, Peter.
Peter?
The bonus fact. Here's the one I promised you. Cindy Landon was at her husband's bedside when he died in 1991. Then, in May of 2026, Fox ordered Highway to Heaven back. It's a new version, built by Jason Katims, the writer behind Friday Night Lights and Parenthood. Amblin Television is producing it with Michael Landon Productions, and Cindy Landon is one of the executive producers. Her words were simple. She said she's proud to help carry Michael's legacy forward. It isn't Jonathan Smith coming back. Fox describes it as a new spin on the same idea. Another probationary angel, sent down to earn his wings by helping people who need it. Same job, new man. The show is currently slated for the 2027 and 28 season. So a probationary angel is coming back to television, more than 35 years after the man who invented him died at 54. The widow is the one bringing him back. Think about what that means for a second. She sat beside him in 1991, while he died at 54. 35 years later, she's the one signing off on his angel walking back onto television. Whatever you think about reboots, that's not a cash grab. That's someone finishing something. 2 ways to die. Stop here for a second, because this is the real story of these 2 men. They died 2 years apart, at the same age, of cancer. But they handled it in completely opposite ways. And both ways are documented. Victor French tried to shut the grief down. He gave his lawyer instructions. No crying. Anyone who cries gets removed. Have a party instead. That's a man who could not stand the idea of people falling apart over him.
Come on, Mark. What do you say? Come on in.
Michael Landon did the exact opposite. He called a press conference. He went on national television. He put himself on the cover of a magazine and invited the country in. He asked millions of strangers to pray for him by name. One man tried to make his death small and private. The other made his death a public event and hosted it himself. Look at who they played. French played the skeptic, the one who kept people at arm's length. Landon played the angel who walked straight into strangers' worst days. Neither of them was acting as far from himself as you'd think. There's one more thing about that funeral instruction that gets missed. French didn't say don't grieve. He said don't do it in front of me. Have a party. That's not coldness. That's a private man handing his friends permission to be happy about him instead. And the loudest man in the room still couldn't manage it.
You're not gonna see him, you know.
I'm not looking for anything. I told you that.
Victor French, June 1989, 54 years old, and buried before his own finale aired. Michael Landon, July 1991, 54, 2 years and 16 days after his best friend. James Troche, 2011, 54 again. 17 years those two men worked together. Bonanza, then Little House, then this. Landon put Victor French on American television across 3 decades. He fought a network to do it the first time. 2 men made this show. Both of them died at 54. Now here's my advice, and I mean it. Go watch it again. The whole series is out there and easy to find. Don't settle for a clip. Start at the pilot. Watch it knowing the show only exists because a father sat beside an unconscious daughter and made a promise. Watch French play a man who doesn't believe in angels. Then remember he called Michael Landon his angel in a newspaper. Watch the episodes with Scotty in them, and know the actor wrote for the show. Watch A Match Made in Heaven, and remember who came up with it. Then watch Merry Christmas from Grandpa, and count back to June. I promise you it plays differently now. And look at how much time these 2 men spend just listening. Nobody makes television like that anymore. There's no hook every 90 seconds. There's no shouting. It's 2 men in a truck, driving towards somebody who needs them. Every single week. That's the whole show. And for 5 years, 20 million people a week thought that was enough. So tell me in the comments, which one landed hardest? Was it the promise beside the hospital bed? Was it Landon fighting tears at a funeral where crying was banned? Or was it 3 men and the same number? And if you remember watching this with a parent or a grandparent on a Wednesday night, say so. Those comments are my favorite ones to read. Subscribe if you want more stories like this one. That's the whole channel. The casts you grew up with, and what actually happened to them. And the next one's already written. Gunsmoke, 1955. 20 seasons, 635 episodes, and only 1 member of that cast is still alive today. He named 2 of his sons after co-stars who are gone, and one of those men was already dead when the boy was born. Same channel, same idea. A cast you loved, and the part nobody told you. I'll see you in Dodge City.